Welcome back to Stab the Dragon Productions for episode number 82, whiskey review number 50, I think. I get the numbers wrong sometimes. This is Saturday, November 19th, 2022, and I have what could be my top whiskey here as we continue to explore Texas whiskeys, although we do occasionally look at some other whiskeys once in a while. But tonight, Balcones Texas Rye. Now, before we dive into this, I need to correct something that I said about True Blue, Balcones True Blue 100 a few episodes back at number 77. At that time, I could not find any information on the Balcones website about True Blue 100. I said I could find the cask strength and the 90 proof or 92 proof baby blue, but I couldn't find True Blue 100. And so I thought, are they dropping that from the lineup? Really? And then later, of course, we find out that Diageo was taking over Balcones, and so maybe that was it. Well, today, while I was researching this Texas Rye whiskey there at Balcones website, I clicked on an arrow I did not see before, and it brought up True Blue 100. So shame on me for not figuring that out. But also, I think the website could be a little bit more clear there because they had the lineup and all their core whiskeys were together, except for True Blue 100, and you had to click on the little arrow and it pulled that one over. So it's like you had one too many whiskeys for that website, I guess. I don't know. But I'm relieved that True Blue 100 is still there as a core whiskey at Balcones. So I got myself all hot and bothered and upset over nothing. So, what about this whiskey? Balcones Texas Rye. Just the facts. This is a 750 milliliter bottle that was probably purchased a year and a half ago maybe. It is my second bottle of this product. While I don't remember which store where I purchased it from, it's likely about $40 at that time. This is a 100% rye whiskey. It's aged for over 2 years and comes in at 100 proof. It is a certified Texas whiskey. What was my score for this whiskey? 97. Letter grade? A+, maybe even an A++. Recommendation. This whiskey has received my highest score in all my reviews, so it may be my personal favorite. However, caution, if you love rye whiskey, this is so different, you're either going to love it or hate it. I see no middle ground. If you've never tried a Texas whiskey before, I do not recommend that you start here. Start with something more gentle. TX Bourbon 90 proof comes to mind, or maybe Silver Star 1849. Something gentle to break you into the Texas funk. This is a strong Texas whiskey, so I would not say start here. Now, a strong word to Diageo. Do not mess with this whiskey. You've taken over Balcones. Don't mess with this whiskey. Let's go to the details. History. In previous episodes, I have gone into the history of Balcones, so there's just a brief recap here. Founded in Waco, Texas, 2008 by Chip Tate, Balcones Distillery was the first Texas whiskey to hit the market since Prohibition. They're named after a geologic fault line that runs through Texas, and their whiskey is known for some serious innovation, originality. Chip Tate was run off by his investors in what was a hostile takeover, it seems to me, back in 2014. And just recently, at the end of October of this year, 2022, Balcones was purchased by Diageo. Those investors that ran off Chip Tate then sold out to Diageo. I am not happy. Now, Diageo has a lot of good products. Johnny Walker brands among them. Crown Royal is part of their lineup as well. So you know, they have a lot of good whiskeys. But it's upsetting to many of us here in Texas that Diageo has purchased our beloved Balcones. So, you know, Diageo brings in an infusion of capital. I get that. Brings in easier access to worldwide markets. I get that. But the risk is that innovation will slow down and maybe quality will be compromised for quantity. I don't know. So history, For this whiskey, 5 points out of 5. Marketing, bottle, and packaging. I do not recall seeing any advertisements for Balcones over the years, just word of mouth with lots of YouTube videos and written reviews and things like that. News stories about Balcones, certainly. I imagine Diageo is going to throw in quite a bit of advertising cash. But these Balcones bottles and labels are pretty basic. The labels are generally speaking kind of bold. They can be, like on this rye. I really like this rye label. Maybe my most favorite label for a Balcones whiskey. There's nothing fancy there, but notice the green label with the gold lettering. The green is kind of a thing with rye whiskeys in America. It's not 100%. I think I've seen one or two other ryes that didn't have green. So it's not a legal thing at all, but it is a nice touch. It lets the consumer know, hey, this is rye. The gold lettering on the dark forest green, that's a classy touch. I like that. The 100 proof really sticks out there. See? Stands out, as does the strip at the bottom that says the original Texas whiskey. This bottle, all the Balcones bottles has this little plastic emblem on it, and it says Balcones Distillery on it, along with some kind of a symbol that I guess is their logo, but I haven't quite figured out what it is, right? The cap has a 5-pointed star and Texas on it. It is a real cork, I think. I mean, these days some artificial corks are so realistic looking, but I think that's a real cork going on there. The hoo-ha statement on the back is actually quite informative. It does have a misspelled word, though. I'll show you that when we get there. So, evolution of rye. Okay, so there's a hint about what they're doing here. Balcones Texas Straight Rye Whiskey is the culmination of our love for rye whiskey. Constant curiosity, there's another hint, and drive to make the best whiskey we can. We approached a style we love from a new perspective, and here's the misspelled word. It should be adding nuance, but it says editing. Got an extra D in there. Adding nuance and subtlety to tradition. I think the tradition thing, man, they shattered that tradition. Our 100% rye mash bill began with Elbon rye from Northwest Texas, accompanied by some crystal, chocolate, and roasted rye. They give us a rich, sweet mid-palate and layers of chocolate over leather, tobacco, oak, and spice notes. Certified Texas whiskey. Never chill filtered or colored. There you go. That's a pretty good hoo-ha statement. It's really not so much hoo-ha. It's information. It's informative. So I really appreciate that on their bottle. So 4 points for marketing, bottle, packaging. Why did I take off 1 point? This is not my favorite kind of bottle. I mean, a lot of people use that kind of bottle, and it's just not my favorite aesthetically. It's a personal thing. Composition. Again, that hoo-ha statement on the back tells us what's there. So it doesn't give the proportions, but it is a 750 milliliter bottle with 100% rye, and that says Elbon rye. I have no idea what Elbon rye is. And then crystal rye, chocolate rye. I've heard of chocolate rye before. And then roasted rye. I think, some of it they must roast. I don't think that's a type of rye. And the bottle says aged at least 24 months in oak. And this is a 50% ABV, 100 proof whiskey. My bottle is batch RYE 10020-1. And the date is 6-1-20. So for composition, 15 points, maximum number of points. Appearance. This is a dark amber with some red hints, red tints to it. You can see that in the glass. So it is fairly dark. Here it is again in the bottle, but the red tints come through with that. I don't know if you can see it there, but So this is a fairly dark whiskey, 4 out of 5. There might be some darker ones out there. 4 out of 5 for appearance. Nosing. Now the website says soft charred oak, black tea and cracked pepper, fruit, chocolate covered cherries. I definitely get the char. To me, that's kind of the dominant thing. Some sweetness, but that char, that rules over it. I mean, that's the Texas funk right there. Black tea, you know, I can kind of see that. I think I can agree with the chocolate covered cherries. I mean, I'm actually getting that. Now, if you've been watching any of my other videos, you know that my nose is mostly broken. And when it comes to whiskeys, I don't smell much. Ryes, I can generally smell the rye spice. I get no rye spice here. None. Okay? Which is odd. Scotches I can usually smell, but bourbons, that's my weak point. I really can't smell much in the way of bourbons. Texas whiskeys, though, I frequently get the Texas funk. But here, this is probably the richest smelling whiskey I've ever smelled. 10 points. I think that's my first 10 ever for nose. Taste. The website says creamy, buttery toffee, peppery spice notes with hints of coffee and nuts. But the bottle says rich, sweet mid-palate, layers of chocolate over leather, tobacco, oak, and spice. I absolutely can agree with most of that for sure. Creamy, buttery toffee, yeah. There's that. The sweetness is not overpowering like with some bourbons, but there's a sweetness like toffee there. Coffee and tobacco. I agree with that. Absolutely. No rye spice. I'm getting baking spices, but not rye spice. The sweetness is really overwhelmed by the Texas funk, that charred oak flavor that's baked in by the hot Texas sun and the cold Texas winters. This is truly a rich, amazing, complex whiskey. If you love a good rye whiskey, this is so different. It may be something entirely different. Yeah, it's 100% rye, but man, this tastes very out there compared with all the other ryes I've ever tasted. They've created something here that is either a masterpiece or an abomination. This is whiskey that you're going to love or hate. I see no middle ground here. I don't see anyone viewing this as boring, plain, or ordinary. They've done things to rye here that, well, it ain't natural. But as it is, I think it's wonderful. I absolutely love this stuff. And I'm pretty sure this will win the rye category of my upcoming Texas Whiskey Double Elimination Tournament for 2023. It could win the whole tourney. $25 points. That may be my first max score on a whiskey. Mouthfeel and finish. This does have a rich mouthfeel to it, the creaminess, the butteriness there. The spice hits you in mid-palate, but kind of builds to take over on the finish. At 100 proof, it's got a very gentle burn, just slightly going up in the sinuses and the back of the throat. Certainly nothing going down. There's no real hug. So it's smooth. Okay, as far as the burn goes, it's smooth. As far as the flavor goes, this is a slap in the face. Definitely. It leaves a good spicy tingle in the mouth. I've had much hotter 90 proof whiskeys, even 80 proof whiskeys I've had that are hotter than this. The flavors here on the mouthfeel, they or in the finish, they really linger. It's a very long finish. I mean, you know that you've had something different from a sip of this, and it lasts. The flavors, the leather, the tobacco, the coffee, the chocolate, the tingle of the spice, all that lingers and lingers. So mouthfeel and finish, 14 out of 15. The only point that I took off is because personally I prefer more of a burn. And so as a 100 proof whiskey, I kind of expect a little bit more of a burn, and I didn't get it. So that would be the only point taken away. 14 points. Price, value, and availability. Goody Goody lists this at $39.99, as does Total Wine. Specs, $40.73. So what you're looking at is $40 for a craft whiskey, which is very good. For a rye, ryes tend to be a little bit more. This is even better. For this particular rye, this is an outstanding value, definitely. It is available at all the stores that I regularly shop, and this is part of the core whiskeys of the Balcones lineup. So for price, value, and availability, 10 out of 10 points. Neat or mixer. This is fantastic neat. It's strong enough, the flavors are strong enough, I think, to hold up under ice. It's already smooth enough, but you know, I can see somebody drinking this under ice. I'm sure it would make a great cocktail. I would love to have an old-fashioned using this whiskey, but I'm a neat guy, and so I love it neat. 5 points, clearly. Bonus points, 5 points because it's Balcones. It's about 80 miles from my house, and even though Diageo bought it out, I'll still give them 5 bonus points here. Total score 97. Letter grade A++. Recommendation. Going by the score, this is my highest scoring whiskey out of all that I've done so far. So you're looking at 50 whiskeys. I've got to give this my top recommendation. However, but I acknowledge what a lot of reviewers have said about this. Balcones Rye is incredibly different. It's not going to be for everyone. If you like a traditional rye whiskey, you're either going to love this or hate it. Now, if you have tried other Texas whiskeys and enjoy that Texas funk, that heavy char note that comes through, that unique, strong Texas flavor, then you should like this, okay? But if you've never had a Texas whiskey, I would not recommend you start with this one. No, start somewhere else. Go with Silver Star 1849 bourbon, TX 90 proof bourbon. Do something like that to break you into the Texas funk, because this is pretty overpowering, I think. This is strong stuff here. Conclusion. Oh, well, but otherwise with my recommendation, if you really like Texas whiskeys and you've never tried this one, this is a must. You've got to do the Balcones Rye. So conclusion. Well, the Thanksgiving holiday is this next week, so if I have a chance to do a video, it will likely be about the Thanksgiving holiday. I like doing holiday videos here at StabtheDragon. So I would say I might not do another whiskey review until after Thanksgiving. If you drink this holiday season, don't drive. Let someone else do the driving. And if you're underage, don't drink. Well, that's all for StabtheDragon today. Deo gratias, out here.